Bonjour. So today we are talking about IR verbs. We are talking about our second group of regular verbs. Now, we have been stuck in ER verbs for the whole entire year. Okay. So we were talking about ER verbs like danser, chanter, jouer, nager, all of those ones. Okay. And we have been using ER verbs the entire year. Okay. But you guys need to realize that there are more verbs than just ER verbs, okay? I cannot have you leaving French 1 without knowing the three major groups of verbs. ER verbs are the first ones, they're the biggest group, and in France, they are called first group verbs, okay? IR verbs are the second largest, and those are, again, in France, considered a second group verb. And then later, we are going to be learning RE verbs, which is going to be our third group, okay? But first things first, let's go ahead and review of how to conjugate an ER verb, okay? So almost anything that ends in ER is going to follow these patterns. So remember, our first step is to cut off the ER. Second step is to write the stem or whatever's left over. And then step 3 is add the endings. Okay, so remember, if it is a je, we got to put an E on the end. If it is a tu, it's an ES. Il or elle, it's going to be an E. Nous, ending is ONS. Vous is EZ. And ils, elles, plural is ENT. Okay, we learned that back in like October. Okay, and like I said, we've been using it all year. So once again, just to review, we've got the verb danser. So again, you're going to take that ER off and you're going to cut it off and you're going to write the stem of DANS, okay? But again, on each one, you're going to add that ending. So then that's where we get je danse, tu danses, il danse, elle danse, and we get E for those endings. Nous dansons, vous dansez, ils, elles dansent. Again, ONS, easy, ENT for these endings, okay? So those are our ER verbs that we have been working with all year. Okay, so now let's jump into our IR verbs. If you need to take notes on this, please do so, okay? If you need to stop the video to write things down, do it, okay? I'm going to be going a little faster than I probably normally would if I was in class, simply because you guys have the ability to stop and rewind the video, stop and pause it to get this stuff down. Okay, now how to conjugate regular IR verbs. First things first, you're going to cut off the IR. Okay, so again, all of these verbs are going to end in an IR. So we're going to cut off that IR. We're going to write the stem of whatever's left, just like we did with ERs. But step 3 is add the endings, and they're different endings. Okay, so that's all we have to do. It's the same exact thing that we've done with ER verbs. It's just we have to learn new endings now. Okay, so for je, it is IS. For tu, it is IS. So il and elle singular, it is IT. Nous, ISSONS. I know that's weird and I know that's a lot of letters, but that's true. Okay, that's right. ISSONS. Vous is ISSEZ. And then ils, elles is ISSENT. So we still have our ONS, we still have our EZ, we still have our ENT, but we are having to remember to add that ISS in there. And once again, that ISS is only in the nous, the vous, and the ils, elles plural. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at one of these verbs so you can see it in action, okay? So we have the verb finir. Finir is our first IR verb. So as you can see, it ends in an IR. Well, step number 1 is we are cutting off this IR and we're left with FIN. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in all of my forms, and then I'm going to add these endings. So je finis, I'm going to add that IS. Tu finis, IS. Il and elle finit. Now notice, these all sound the same, okay? It's just a spelling difference. Now, nous finissons. Nous finissons with an ONS, ISSONS. Vous finissez, ISSEZ. And ils, elles finissent. And we do kind of pronounce those S's in that one. Okay, so they do not sound like that. All right, let me go ahead and repeat it one more time, and I'll give a little pause so you can repeat after me. All right, répétez. Finir. Je finis. Tu finis. Il finit. Elle finit. Nous finissons. Vous finissez. Ils finissent. Elles finissent. Good. Okay, let's look at another one. So this one is the verb choisir. Choisir. Choisir is the verb to choose. And we do end up using this one a lot. So that's why I wanted to throw this one in. Okay, so once again, our first step is what? We're going to cut off that IR. Okay, so we're going to cut off that IR and we are left with that stem of CHOIS. So I'm going to go ahead and write that on every single one of these before I add my ending. Now, I'm going to go back and add my ending. So the je is je choisis. There's my ending. Tu choisis. Il choisit. Elle choisit. Nous choisissons. Vous choisissez. Ils choisissent. Elles choisissent. And I know that's a lot of letters in there, and especially when we are looking at that ISISS, okay? And you guys might go, wait, I don't get it. I'm getting confused with all these I's and S's. But if you follow the rule, cut off the IR, add the appropriate ending, you will not go wrong. Okay, but a lot of the times I get kids that are trying to say, oh yeah, CHOIS, and then I get like ISSONS because they're getting confused with that IS. No. Don't do that, okay? Once again, CHOIS is my stem, then add on the ending of ISSONS, okay? Like I said, if you follow the rules, if you follow how you're supposed to do it, you will not go wrong. Okay, but don't get confused with all these I's and S's. Let's go ahead and repeat this one more time because this is one where the kids are always a little afraid. All right, so répétez. Choisir. Je choisis. Tu choisis. Il choisit. Elle choisit. Nous choisissons. Let me do that one more time. Nous choisissons. Vous choisissez. Let's do that one again. Vous choisissez. Ils choisissent. Elles choisissent. So again, here we don't pronounce that ENT, but we do pronounce that ISS. Okay, let's go on. Now, common IR verbs, okay? This is not an exhaustive list, but these are the ones that we use a lot. And in fact, these are the ones on the front of the packet, okay? That hopefully you will be doing, okay, for homework. But let's go ahead and look at them. All right, bâtir. Bâtir is the verb to build. So if you're building a house or you're building a sand castle or something like that, that's going to be bâtir. Choisir, we already talked about. Now, désobéir. If I can jump ahead just a little bit, obéir is over here. All right, so obéir is to obey, obéir. Well, then désobéir is going to be to disobey. All right, so désobéir and désobéir. Or désobéir and obéir. Okay, finir, that was one of our examples, so I've already talked about that one. Finir. Grandir, that's to grow up. Okay, and look, grand is right in there. So if we remember that grand is tall, this is like to grow tall. So if I want to say, oh, I grew up in Texas, or I grew up in Cleveland, or I grew up in Akron, okay, this can be the verb that you can use, okay, grandir. Now, grossir is to gain weight, okay? So gros is actually like fat, okay, or heavy. So once again, grossir is to get fat or to gain weight. Guérir is to heal. Maigrir, now maigre, usually you put an E on the end of this, but maigre is thin or skinny. So then maigrir is the verb to become skinny or to become thin or to lose weight, okay? Obéir, I've already talked about obey. Punir, punish. Remplir, to fill, like you fill out a form or you fill a pitcher or you fill the dog's bowl with water or whatever. Okay, rôtir is to roast. And by the way, that is where we get that rotisserie chicken. All right, so rotisserie is actually a French word. Okay, so rôtir is to roast. And then rougir, we can see that rouge or part of rouge is right in there. So that's to blush or to make red. And then saisir, like to seize, saisir is to seize or to grab. Okay, and that is it. So like I said, cut off the IR, write the stem, endings, IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. Okay, so now we can go ahead and do our packet. If you do need to go back and watch this video or pause it at a certain point to take notes, please do so. Okay, if you do have any questions, please reach out. As always, I am more than happy to help you.